We are just about halfway through the fantasy regular season. Amazingly, it goes by so fast. We do have two games tonight, so four teams, a lot of players on that team, so a lot of matches still up in the air. But man, once Monday night football is done, it's we're halfway through, and it goes by fast. So we're here. We're recapping some winners, losers, a little bit, not so much maybe the obvious guys, couple here and there, but some other people to just have some discourse and discussion on. We'll start off positively, like we always do, with Amon-Ra, St. Brown, and just the Lions in general. 8 targets, 8 catches, 112 yards, and a touchdown. If you were able to buy low on St. Brown because for whatever reason someone was scared, congratulations, because he had two. He doesn't really look like maybe Amon-Ra like last year. He's had 2 big games, one really good game, and then he has a touchdown in 4 straight games. But the yardage and the catches aren't maybe what we're used to. But go ahead, Dad. You think Amon-Ra, St. Brown, everything's all right?
Yeah, and he made a hell of a play on the last drive. And the Lions' offense in general, man, Gibbs, Goff, St. Brown, and it's just it's a machine right now. And my God, they got to play Carolina next week, so they're going to roll those guys up pretty easy. But this is the guy, first round draft pick in fantasy drafts should have been by far. This is what we expect. So
yeah, absolutely.
Nice game.
Yeah, and we talked about it, with the Aiden Hutchinson injury, they may be having a little bit more shootouts, offensive games and stuff. So, yeah, Amon-Ra is awesome. Jared Goff has been amazing. I think I heard over the last 3 games he has more touchdowns than incompletions.
Right, I read that. They had to start talking about him as an MVP candidate. It's
they need to. Yeah, he's definitely in the MVP talks right now, and it's good because he started off not great. We were like, man, are we getting like old Jared Goff kind of thing? What happened? Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, that all is not there. So let's see, he has 7. He still has more incompletions, is what I'm seeing, but still, awesome stuff from the Lions, and yeah, that offense is rolling. Good thing Montgomery's okay. Gibbs looks awesome. So let's jump into a loser here. Same division. I have Jayden Reed as a loser, and just something I want to point out with Jayden Reed is just, and I've been pointing this out, and it hasn't really mattered because he's been awesome, but like his usage isn't quite what you would think for a guy that was like a top 12 wide receiver, right? He's still wide receiver 5 overall. So I'm not saying like, oh, he's bad. He's had a couple, down games. He caught a touchdown last week, but he had 6 for 28 and he got the touchdown. This week, 2 for 10, 3 straight games, and 4 of his last 5 games, 6 or less targets, which again, when you're talking about a guy who's currently wide receiver 5 is not what you think of, right? But this is what the Packers do, and this is how they rotate their guys, and it's Romeo Doubs is always out there. He runs the most routes. Christian Watson and Dontavian Wicks kind of play that other outside wide receiver role in 2 wide receiver sets. And then Jayden Reed only really plays in 3 wide receiver sets. So, and it was kind of in the slot, which they play a lot of 3 wide receiver sets, but basically what it all adds up to is, he plays 70-75% of the snaps, which again, can he still be good with that? Obviously, because he is being good with that, right? But you just go and you look at some of the big names in the NFL, right? And you look at their snap share. Jamar Chase is out there 90% of the time. Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to be out there 90% of the time or more, right? 95 last week for Amon-Ra. And that's where you get a little bit more consistency. And you might just get a couple games like this from Jayden Reed. Packers offense could be, I think, a little bit frustrating at times, plus they have a lot of good receivers as well. So just something I wanted to point out with Jayden Reed, but just some inconsistencies that will happen.
He was, he's supposed to be, it seems like Green Bay doesn't have the man, at wide receiver. They have a bunch of pretty good guys and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's not. And Reed, I think there were a couple of weeks ago I'd read where he was like the leading yardage guy, in the wide receiver room there in Green Bay. So obviously, he seems to be a playmaker, but he's obviously having some ups and downs. But
yeah, and that's what it is. And so you may get, I don't know if he can be top 5 with that kind of usage and target volume. Like literally, he's had one game this year of over 7 targets, which again, like obviously sometimes it doesn't matter for some guys, but you got to kind of like overall over the course of a season, volume kind of reigns king a little bit. So just keep that in mind. Javonte Williams, all the way back on Thursday night, 14 carries, 88 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 catches, 23 yards. Could never figure out Javonte Williams. Is he the guy? Oh, yeah, he's the guy. And then, oh, no, they're not using him, and he has 5 carries. And, oh, no, he is the guy. 3 straight weeks now, over 60% of the snaps, which is good to see. So go ahead, Dad. Javonte Williams.
Yeah, it was about this time last year where, it kind of, the Bronco offense started to go a little more run heavy and stuff like that. I think about midpoint through the season. And, and that kind of, I know it's a little different this year with Bo Nix and stuff like that, but, 88 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, that's a pretty good game for them and stuff like that. Hopefully they'll just keep it rolling. I think in general Broncos had for a team. They had pretty good rushing totals against what was it, New Orleans? So
yeah. Which seems to be a team to target, and but he plays the Panthers this week, which is the other team to target in the running game. So expect another big game from Javonte. Do you think so? He's currently running back 28 in total points. What are you expecting? Like a top 24 guy? You're not expecting like top 15 probably, right? But maybe top 24.
Yeah, and like you just said, like we were just talking with Reed, volume and I know there's some other guys in the backfield there in Denver that cut into his targets and stuff like that. But you just look at his number of carries. That's probably what he's going to get. Is he going to be a 20 carry guy and stuff like that? Yeah, I don't know, but he seems to help their offense go. So
yeah, absolutely. Moving right along here, I had JSN as a loser. Really, really disappointing stuff from Jackson Smith-Njigba, who somehow is still like, in terms of like math, right? And if you play in 3 wide receiver leagues and 12-team leagues, he's wide receiver 34. That technically says he's a starter, right? Now, points per game, he's a lot lower. I think he's like wide receiver 40, but he's had 2 double-digit point weeks this year so far. The targets are kind of there for him, which is one of the frustrating things. And Geno, at least heading into this week, was leading the NFL in passing yards and attempts and completions, but that didn't translate anything for JSN. And by the way, Geno still is leading in completions, attempts, and yards, almost 2,000 yards through the first 7 games. And you would think, wow, if I told you that in August, you'd be like, wow, Jackson Smith-Njigba must be, him and Metcalf and Lockett, all 3 of them must be really good. And it's just not really panning out for him. I don't know what it is. Now, I think Metcalf did have a potential injury, so that's something to keep an eye on. It's like a knee injury. They say it's not too bad, but he could miss some time, which will make JSN more intriguing. But, man, when those guys are out there, and once again, we did it. We slept on Tyler Lockett every single year for the last 3-4 years. We've been doing this. And the guy leads the Seahawks in targets and yards and all this stuff. And he's been better. Tyler Lockett has just been better. So,
this, it's kind of funny. And the Seahawks throttled, the Falcons. So 34 laid 34 points on him, and
which is even more concerning.
Yeah, Gino seems to have some pretty good numbers. I think wasn't he leading the NFL in yardage?
Yeah, I mentioned that he's yardage
Okay.
and completions and attempts. Yeah, yep, yeah, 2,000 passing yards for 7 games. So that's even more concerning. He's just kind of there. He's not really a part of their offense. They don't need him to throttle the Falcons. They can do it other ways, and yeah, it's definitely concerning for JSN. You have Drake May here, who first two games he's looked good. 275 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. He can run, by the way. I keep saying this. It's not a fluke. He ran for over 700 yards in college. He's going to give you a good solid rushing floor. So he's coming into like potential, like you can start him during bye weeks, right?
Absolutely. And one thing, he seems to be running for his life quite a bit. So we've heard enough about New England's offensive line issues and stuff like that. Just wait until if you got this guy on a dynasty draft, I mean, you can play him now, but expect some up and downs. But hopefully in the future, if they build the team correctly, it's gonna look pretty good.
Yeah, no, this is intriguing. This rookie quarterback draft class has been awesome. Caleb, Jaden Daniels leading the way. Those two guys. Bo Nix has kind of met or exceeded expectations for me. Drake May is now playing, and he looks awesome. Obviously, we haven't seen Michael Penix yet, and more McCarthy, but those two guys are highly regarded as well. So, this might be one of the better draft classes for quarterbacks we see in a long, long time. So, I love it. It's a reason to watch the Patriots. Only thing I will say, if you're picking up Drake May to like potentially stash and start later on in the year, he gets the next 3 games: Jets, Titans, Patriots. Those are 3 tough. Sorry, Jets, Titans, Bears. He plays on the Patriots. Those are 3 tough matchups for quarterbacks and receivers and everything. So I would be a little bit hesitant there. Heading into the week, Bears were number 1, Jets were 5th, and who's the other team that I said? Titans. Titans were more middle of the road, but they're still in the top half. So 3 tough teams against quarterbacks there. So he might be back on the waiver wire if you maybe be hesitant on spending a lot of fab on him if you play that system. Dalton Kincaid here I have as a loser, 6 targets, 3 catches, 52 yards. But you look at it and you're like, man, for a tight end, I'll take that. But it's more of just like we really, really thought like Dalton Kincaid wasn't the reason you lost this week, but he's probably the reason. He's one of the reasons why you're maybe 2-5, 3-4, because you drafted him really, really high, first 5 rounds or so. He just hasn't been that difference maker. Yeah, he'll probably be a top 12 tight end. And when you look at the numbers at the end of the day, he's actually tight end 11 for the year. That just shows you more about the tight end position than anything else. And it's unfortunate, but I think it's a lesson learned. Like, not everyone can just be Kelsey. Like, even though it seems like everything's lining up for Kincaid to be the guy, a good quarterback, no, he could be the alpha on that team. No, it just didn't work out. And this is what happens, man, when you draft these tight ends early. If they don't pan out, they really, really kill your team. They really do.
Kelsey wasn't Kelsey in year 2, so
no, you're right. A lot of guys aren't.
So it may take a little bit, Yeah.
To Joe Mixon as a winner, man. 25 carries, 115 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 catches for 9 yards. Joe Mixon is amazing. And you know what's funny about all this, and then I'll let you speak, is when he was in Cincinnati, and maybe this is more just about Cincinnati than anything, he was never known for this like efficient guy. It was just workload and carry and volume. Dude he's played 3 full games this year. He's over 25 points in all 3 of them in half PPR, which is insane. That is like absolutely insane. He's super efficient. He looks young. So yeah, I mean, go right ahead, man. Like, are we looking at a top 5 running back, maybe RB1 overall here? points per game at least.
Yeah, I know he had a little health issue there for a week or two, but and it's too bad the Texans lost in this game. But he is not because of Joe Mixon, that's for sure. And C.J. Stroud didn't have good numbers, but Mixon, 25 carries. We're talking old school numbers. When you start giving a running back 18, 20, 25 carries and stuff like that, and they're producing, I mean, that usually is good results.
Yeah.
We had lots of I know we talked about it before we had the start of the video. There was a lot of it was a good running back week in the fantasy world, NFL fantasy world yesterday. So we counted 11 running backs in a full PPR league over 20 points. So
with 3 more tonight that could get there theoretically. So, yeah, no, this is amazing. He's had 25 carries or more in 2. He's basically played 3.5 games, 3 full games, and then a half of another one. 2 of those 3 full games, he has 25 carries or more. So, yeah, he's top 20 in carries in the NFL, missing 3 games. It's insane. Absolutely insane what he's doing. Anthony Richardson, once again, is on this list. 129 56 rushing yards. He just does not. I know he carried the ball like 14 times. That's what we wanted to see. It's just not happening. Like, he just looks so bad, like worse than I ever thought passing the ball. And this is like a weird situation where, like, if they were to start Flacco, this team would have blown out the Dolphins. The Tyler Huntley and who's the other guy? Tim Boyle led Dolphins, and they barely eked out a win here. He's not, and for fantasy, we don't really care necessarily, but he's not even doing it for fantasy. He's not. He's had 1 good game this year in the 5 that he's played. He's missed 2 games. He's played 5 games. He has a 27-point game, a 12.9, 7.1, 5.2, 8.8. Those are horrendous. They lose you your week. You need your quarterback to at least give you 15 points. That's it. And then you could win with other pieces. Your quarterback goes under 10 points, which is what he's done his last 3 starts. You're losing games. So it's bad. It's bad for the entire offense. Michael Pittman did nothing really. Josh Downs, I think, had like 3 targets and 1 catch or something. Pittman had 3 for 63. Like, okay, you got something, but not what you were expecting. Like I said, Josh Downs, one catch for 3 yards. It's bad. It's really, really bad. So any chance. And the thing is, I think they're going to continue with him, right? They're going to continue. And I understand he hasn't had a lot of starts. He's the youngest starting quarterback still. This is the NFL, man. And coaches lose their jobs after a year. Like, I'm not saying Steichen's going to lose his job, but like, they need to win. They can't wait necessarily for a guy to take 3 years to develop. So, I mean, do you see it turning around for fantasy at least, or is this just cut your losses type of thing?
Yeah, man, we've seen in the past he's done it, for fantasy, and seen some. He makes 1 or 2 amazing plays, and there's 5 to 8 shitty plays or something like that. But I don't know, man. It's like it's tough pill to swallow if it's affecting the whole team and everything else. And that's what seems to be happening.
Yeah, it's tough. Especially when on the bench there's a guy who can probably get you wins right now, but is he the future? No, because he's Joe Flacco. So David Njoku, man, 14 targets, 10 catches, 76 yards, and a touchdown here. Let me ask you, because Amari Cooper's gone, and it's funny, most of this came when Deshaun Watson goes out, and all his production last year came when Deshaun Watson's out, and now Deshaun Watson's going to be out. So let me ask you here, like, are there, besides Kittle and Bowers, is there any other tight end you want besides Njoku the rest of the year? I don't know if there is, to be honest. Like, I know Laporta's out there and McBride you can make an argument for, but 14 freaking targets, and he's like their only really proven true weapon, him and Judy.
Yeah, there was a wide receiver. It might have been Cedric Wilson that got quite a few targets too.
Yep.
But it is kind of funny that the Watson and Njoku connection or lack of connection. So it's something something definitely to pay attention to. And Njoku he started off not too good. He got hurt and he didn't play for about a month, I think. So
yeah, he missed 3 games.
Yeah,
missed 3 games. But he's gonna be awesome, man. Like I said, there's Kittle, there's Brock Bowers, and then after that, like you can honestly make a case for David Njoku as like the next guy that I want. Like I'm not taking Tucker Kraft, Cole Kmet. These are the top 10 tight ends right now in total points. Kittle, Bowers, Tucker Kraft, Cole Kmet, Kyle Pitts, tight end 5, Hunter Henry, Isaiah Likely because of a couple big weeks, Zach Ertz, Trey McBride, Pat Frymuth. I'm taking Njoku over all those guys except for Bowers and Kittle. I'm taking him over guys like Laporta for this year only, because he's just going to get fed targets, and those other guys aren't because they have other pieces on their offenses. So, yeah, it's great to see. Zach Moss is the experiment's over. I think Chase Brown, his takeover continues. He had a career high in rushing attempts with 15. Now Moss is still the passing downs back, which is why you see the 3 catches for 33 yards. So he'll do that every now and then. But Chase Brown, it started off the year with like about a 50-50 split on the early down stuff. And then Moss was getting 3rd down 2-minute drill as well. So Moss was the guy he wanted. Well, now it was 24 snaps for Chase Brown, 11 for Zach Moss. So that's just completely changed. He's doubled Zach Moss's early down work. So now you're looking at Zach Moss as only a kind of the 2-minute 3rd down guy, and Zach Moss is the early down guy. He's the guy that's going to get the 15 carries. So big time loser for a guy that you potentially drafted to be a starter, and he started off the year as a starter, and Zach Moss, and it's the Chase Brown show now. So I mean, Chase Brown didn't have a good game necessarily, but he's getting all the work. So just wanted to bring that up. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, and Chase Brown, going back to his college days, is a volume running back, so he's used to getting the ball a lot. So it's like he can handle it. I know last year, his rookie year, there was an injury issue and stuff like that, but it seems to be leaning more to Chase Brown. His rushing totals weren't great, like you said, 15 for 44, but that's pretty good. Pretty good. I mean, the game wasn't a shootout or anything else. So, but as the weather starts turning crappy now, we're getting in close to November and stuff like that. We'll see how Cincinnati leans on the run game a little bit.
Yeah. I added a winner here. I know it was yours to choose, but I added George Pickens, 9 targets, 5 catches, 111 yards, and a touchdown. His first really good game of the year, and it obviously came with Russell Wilson. And I wasn't a fan of the Russell Wilson switching to him, but the Steelers did just look better last night, I will say. Not that Justin Fields was terrible. He started off 4-2 and did some things, but their offense overall just looked better. It looked like a Steelers type of game. And then it's no coincidence that George Pickens, almost 20 points in half PPR, his best game by far of the season. His previous best game was 12.8. So he's up to wide receiver 22. This is what, if you're a George Pickens manager and you kind of, you held steady and stuff like that, I think you're going to be paid off finally. So what do you think of the Steelers and Russ and Pickens?
Yeah, it kind of started off a little slow when I was paying attention to it. And then I kind of wasn't paying attention so much, but I could tell they seemed they seem to have, a little better offense. Najee looked pretty good, and if the a little more consistent, Justin Fields, everybody's going to go, whoa, he shouldn't have lost his job or anything like that. I mean, obviously Russell Wilson, he hadn't played obviously in almost a year.
Yeah.
So he looked decent. So for fantasy, Pickens is probably pretty good guy to have on your roster.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think it's finally going to pay. It's just going to be more consistent, and Russell Wilson and Pickens kind of seem like a match made in heaven. Kind of have that Cortland Sutton type of vibe to it. So I have C.J. Stroud as a loser. 86 passing yards for C.J. Stroud. Wow, Packers did it, and this is why. Not that anyone expected Stroud to have only 86 passing yards ever in a game, because you just don't do that. This is why we're very hesitant on drafting non-rushing quarterbacks in the first few rounds, because it's just too like we're seeing the best quarterback, maybe some people think ever, in Patrick Mahomes, the best quarterback right now and one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time is QB 22 in fantasy. He has more interceptions than touchdown passes this year, Patrick Mahomes does. I actually think he leads the NFL in interceptions. Him and Jordan Love and Minshew are tied for 8 interceptions to lead the league. CJ Stroud, we all know he's a really good quarterback. QB 11 in points per game, in total points, averaging 15.7 points per game. And you drafted him maybe in the 3rd or 4th round. Look at the top 3 of the top 5 guys. It's Lamar, Jaden Daniels, and Josh Allen. 3 of the guys in the top 5. Why? Because they run the ball. Of course, you're going to get guys like Baker, who's QB3, Joe Burrow, QB5, or CJ Stroud. Maybe he could be that guy. But it's just a lot. I know for a fact that these rushing guys are going to be up there, and they provide a safer floor. So I wanted to highlight that about CJ Stroud and Patrick Mahomes and guys like that. Anything you want to add, or move on to?
No, I just I mean, there's 2. I'm sorry, the Texans aren't ready for prime time yet. They're close. Everybody was jumping on their bandwagon and everything else, but when you lay eggs like this, and I think the game was in Green Bay, but that shouldn't matter. You're going to have to learn to play outdoors and all that other stuff. So, and on the road. So terrible game.
Yeah, no, for sure. Tank Bigsby in the London game, 26 carries, 118 yards, 2 touchdowns. ETN did not play. Tank Bigsby looked awesome. He was leading the NFL in yards per attempt. And this is kind of what when we scouted this guy 2 years ago for Dynasty, it was like, yeah, this guy looks awesome coming out of Auburn. And then he just looked horrendous his rookie year. But Tank Bigsby, do you think he's kind of basically forced Jacksonville to basically use him more? And is that going to be a problem for ETN?
Well, yeah, they're not going to. We'll see how long ETN's out. I thought it was multiple weeks or something like that. I don't know if it was a hamstring or a groin or a calf or something in that area. But the longer ETN's out, the better for Tank Bigsby. But they're not going to just cut ETN or trade him or any of that stuff probably right now. So when he comes back, it could look different. But so right now you just ride what it is. There was a second running back, I forgot his name, for Jacksonville. There was just a lot of success in the running game there for Jacksonville on Sunday.
Yeah, Dearness Johnson. He's kind of more of the pass catcher and stuff like that. So yeah, no, it's it's concerning for ETN, and it's a positive for Bigsby, that's for sure. All right, last winner here that I have is Tyrone Tracy, which, you look at the stats, you're like, how the hell is he a winner? And this is more about his usage. He dominated the backfield. He was their Giants' primary guy. He had 39 snaps to Singletary's 12. Tyrone Tracy was the early down guy, the short yardage guy, the 2-minute drill guy, and he basically split third down work as well. Now, I will say that Devin Singletary was coming off an injury. So are they just easing him back in a little bit for a game? Possibly. But if not, then you have a pretty decent piece here in Tyrone Tracy. If the Giants offense can just function at even a below average level, you have, I think, a solid player here. So I just wanted to highlight that. The stats people may be disappointed with, but the usage is there, which again usually translates to fantasy success. So Tyrone Tracy as our last winner, and I think that's it for week 7. We got 2 more games tonight, so hopefully things go well for you there. We'll be back. We're going to go live tonight after the games. We are 10 away from 700, so help us get there. I'm trying to get there before the end of the month, which we should be able to this week, hopefully. So appreciate everyone. Dad, any last words?
No, just a couple of interesting games tonight. One of them, I think the Charger game is exclusively on ESPN Plus, so half the nation won't be watching it.
Yeah,
so that's
a bummer. But
yeah,
enjoy the games tonight, and we will see you guys in the next video.